Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. In this video, Mortal Kombat 1 guide, we're going to be talking about jailing and how important it is to Mortal Kombat as a whole. This is a Mortal Kombat 1 video, but you'll find it's as applicable Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 9. It's a very important concept. So what is jailing exactly? Well, it has to do with the game, frame data, and animations. So say we have our thing here, we're picking Melina. Stand 2. If we look at our handy little frame counter here at the bottom left, stand 2 is plus 16 on hit. And the move itself is 10 frame startup. So if this was Street Fighter, for example, this means this should be an infinite combo. But Mortal Kombat doesn't necessarily work that way. Yes, the startup is faster than the hit advantage we have, but it's not naturally a combo. But what's important in Mortal Kombat is not so much the amount of frame advantage, although it certainly helps. It is the animation that is caused in this by the single strike. Very, very rarely in Mortal Kombat do you get to get a hit off a single strike unless it causes a capture state, like say, Scorpion Spear, Sub-Zero's Freeze, that kind of stuff. But people being stuck in that animation for however many frames is super key and super important. Now, this is a concept we did briefly cover in the How to Stop Jab Spammer video, but we're going to go more in depth and give you some more examples. But first, say someone is crouching, right? Pretty much most of the best attacks in Mortal Kombat 1 are highs. That's generally how Mortal Kombat works. So if you want to hit someone crouching, can't really use highs so much, so you either got to use a mid or you got to use a low. But there are ways to force someone who is crouching to stand for a high, and this is exactly what jailing is. So now, let's use down 1, and notice here our handy frame counter says we are at 10 frames of advantage. And you can notice here that animation that Shang Tsung is in. So we cannot combo from this, but what we absolutely can do is force him into that animation for 10 frames before he's allowed to return to a crouch. And now, all of a sudden, we can hit him with a high. So what's happening here is simply that they're stuck in the animation. They're animation locked from this move here. And that's kind of what the essence of jailing is. Can he block? Yes, absolutely. So say we hit him with our down 1 and force him to stand up, and then we're going to go for stand 1. And we'll do this, and we'll set him to block. And you can see he can absolutely block in time, right? So it doesn't guarantee a combo, but what it does do is guarantee that they have to defend. So after this, it's not like we're guaranteed to launch them for big damage or anything, right? But we are guaranteed that they have to sit there and like what's next. So if you didn't see the jab spammer video, this is why crouch jabs are so important in Mortal Kombat. Because they are good for stealing turns. They go under highs, sure, all that kind of stuff. But if it connects, the enemy is stuck in that hit animation and they have to accept what's next. They have to block. And if you have the ability to say go overhead or low, then you can enforce a mix-up. Or at the very least, if you have a fast high attack, they have to block that fast high attack. And they have no recourse other than block. They cannot armored reversal through it. They can't do anything invincible through it. They have to block with no other options, no other recourse. Now, the down 1, famously, infamously, I guess, even in Mortal Kombat, is sort of the best example here. That's why poke wars, crouching, and just like, down 1, down 3, down 4 spam is so important in Mortal Kombat, because you want to force them into that animation lock, force them into the jail, and force them to block your next move. So jab into high. That's a good example. But let me give you another one here. So Melina, example here. So down 4. Melina, frankly, does not have many good lows, right? So down 4 and her sweeper about as good as you're getting. And down 3 is all right, I guess. But down 4 causes a hit advantage of 15 frames. So the enemy kind of has that animation where they go backwards a bit and then they can return to crouch. So what's interesting about this is this exactly. So I can go into my high psi specifically. High psi in a lot of ways is not as good as low psi, but what it is a lot more safe on block. And since this jails into a standing animation, if I connect for down 4 and go into high psi, they will get hit by it. Once again, it is not a combo, but if I do this, they are forced to block the move. So once again here, hit, go into the move. We'll set our opponent to block, and they can block it just fine. But the distance we're at, we're negative to the point where we're completely safe, honestly. And we force them to take a little bit of chip damage. We did a special move, gain a little bit of meter. They had to block, gain a little bit more meter, right? And it's just basically more damage. Now, as you can see here, as a high, if they successfully block, they can let go of block If they hold block all the way through, though, they will have to block the projectile, and it's kind of the same difference for us. So it's almost a learning experience for the enemy. If you block all the way, you get pushed out, and who cares, right? I chipped you out a little bit, I gained a little bit of meter, all good for me. If it connects, then they have to block. They have no recourse other than to block, and if they didn't, then free damage. And if they do block, and eventually they learn to let go of block to not get hit by the high, then you can condition them with other gimmicks, and say hit him with a mid or a low or a special, like something that's not usual, right? So that's another advantage jailing, and I'll show you a better example with a better character. So Reiko basically does what I showcased you with Melina, but better, right? So his down 4 also forces the enemy away in that animation. It's also 10 frame startup with good range, so it's good for what it is. And he has the shurikens, which are debatably the best single projectile in the game, right? So same deal. If they get hit, they have to block. And they come up pretty quick, so the opponent has to like mentally like think, oh, I got to block right away, right? They can be a little slow on the trigger. So if it hits, great. And if it gets blocked, so once again here, we'll set the opponent to block all. They still have to block the hit, and it's multiple projectiles, so multiple hits a chip, multiple gains a meter. As a multi-hitting projectile, it actually gains you a lot of meter on block. So this is actually an amazing game plan just based off the simple jail. Just down 4 projectile. It's not a natural combo. This isn't Street Fighter. But jailing the opponent in the animation lock, forcing them to block, will gain you a lot of chip and a lot of meter. And, you know, Reiko is a character that likes that meter because once you get that meter, you unlock his mid grab and you can do a lot of fun stuff from there. Now, we showed you some concepts of jailing from up close, right? You know, down 1 guarantees you a high if it gets hit. That's one of the most important jails. Also, down 4 into projectile if it hits. That's good, right? Let's show you an example from full screen. So let's show you some examples with a fireball here. So Shang, he loves throwing them fireballs, right? So double fireball from full screen. Hit advantage is 25 frames. So they are animation locked. They are jailed for 25 frames. And if we turn into old Shang, when you know it, his ground fireball, 19 frame startup. And it's like 20-ish actually, because it does take a couple active frames to get going, but it's certainly less than 25, right? So that means if these bad boys connect, that means the ground fireball from full screen is guaranteed. Nothing can be done to interrupt it or stop it. You can block, yes, it's not a true combo, but they have to sit there and like it. So here the bot's going to do this to us. We get hit and they're going to go for the fireball. And you'll notice here, I'm going to try to jump out, hold up forward. It's not going to work. I can try to dash out. Not going to work. I can even try, say, an armored reversal. It's not going to work. The reversal's still armored, yes, but I can't get out of the animation lock. All I can do is block. That is why jailing is so powerful. You have no other option but to block. You think you can reverse? No. Cameo reversal? No. Any kind of jump, movement, gimmicks, whatever? No. You are stuck and you have to accept what's coming next. If you block, great. But that's all you can do. You can only block. So hopefully this video has imparted to you just the importance of the concept. Once again, a basic poke is one of the best things in the game because it forces people to play your game. If they're just sitting there and, you know, doing just all sorts of various crouching attacks and going under all your highs, you hit them with a single poke. It could be all sorts of things. Down 1's a classic example, but it can be all sorts of things. And you say, no, you have to play my game for a second. Because you're animation locked, you are jailed, and you have no choice other than defend yourself. And there's a lot more than just pokes, as we went over. Like down 4 for a lot of characters is really good. Projectiles can jail even from full screen, as we went over with the Shang Tsung example. And with cameos, I don't know if this is ironically enough or unironically enough, but regardless, Striker arresting you is one of the best jails in the game. So the cameo call, it barely does damage, not even 4%, right? But the thing is, it holds you in place for 35 frames. So you still get to block, right? With all these, you always get to block, but you can't do anything other than block until that animation is over. And the opponent, well, say I want to do my combo here and I want to end with Striker. I absolutely can. So no knockdown, no nothing. You are reset standing, jailed in front of my face, and you gotta just like it and block. So now, what do we do here after I end this combo? So now you're jailed in front of my face, and I can just simply go like 2-1-2 or something with Kung Lao, and you have to accept it and you have to block. And just to show you, that's a true jail here. Your opponent's ducking. Stand 2 is a true high, right? and they're set to crouch the first frame they possibly can. And they can't crouch because they're jailed. They're stuck in the animation. Once again, they get the block, but they just have to accept what's next. But also, since the jail's so long, we can get creative. If I know you're sitting there and you have to block, right? Maybe I'll go low for a second. You were stand blocking, right? Maybe I'll just go low. You still have to block correctly overhead or low, right? And maybe once that's established as a threat, maybe I'll go overhead. Who knows what I'll do? So jailing is very powerful in a lot of ways, also enforcing a mental game. Because going all the way back to the beginning, down one forces them to stand block your high, right? Once they are forced to block, then you can just go for mix-ups. Okay, you're forced to block. You have to block. 100%, now I'll go low. You have to block 100%, now I'll go overhead. Now I know you have to block 100%, I'll throw you, right? These are the kind of things jailing enforces. It gives you guaranteed pressure that is not going to do much if they block, but once it's in their mind, you can enforce all sorts of high, low, overhead throw, like all sorts of gimmicks, or maybe just chip them out, right? This is definitely a game where chip damage is a thing. So forcing people to block against their will is a big part of the game, and that is why jailing is so absolutely critical. And I hope this video has imparted to you why that is the case and given you some examples on exactly that. That all said though, that is the video. So hopefully you learned a thing or two, and otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Mortal Kombat.